Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Odyssey Recaps, just the Tea edition. Today we are recapping book 17, titled by Emily Wilson as Insults and Abuse. All right, gang, buckle up. This chapter is rough. There's actually also a really sad bit, so just prep the tissues. So, we last left off with Odysseus and Telemachus planning how to best retake the palace and kick the suitors to the curb. They plan to do some infiltration, and Odysseus redisguises himself as an elderly beggar to better infiltrate and trick the suitors. And it's like Athena magically disguises him, so it's a very good disguise. Anyway, our chapter opens as day breaks, and Telemachus tells Swinebro that he needs to go see his mom and reassure her that he really is still alive and it is not just a rumor. While he's doing that, he wants Swinebro to take Odysseus, still in his disguise as an old beggar who we're calling Fodysseus, to town to beg for some food. Then Telemachus leaves, running ahead so they don't all arrive together, which would be suspicious. When Telemachus gets home, his old nanny comes up with a bunch of slave girls and they all kiss him and hug him and cry out with joy that he's back. Then his hot mom comes down the stairs looking fly as hell, and she hugs him and kisses him and cries too. Then she's like, OMG, you're really back. I've been so worried ever since you abandoned me in the middle of the night, but it's whatever. So, what did you see on your trip? Telemachus is like, don't try and guilt trip me. I'm fine. Go take a bath and put on some nicer clothes and then pray to Zeus to take revenge on all these gross Dubro suitors stinking up our palace. Which, rude. And also, if she already looks like a goddess, do we really want to make her even better looking? Like, at what point are we approaching critical levels of hotness? But Telemachus isn't worried, and he is also not done. He says, I'm leaving again, but I'll be right back with a friend I met during my semester at sea. You'll love him. He's a murderer. I know. So exciting, right? Then he just, leaves. And Penelope just, does what he says? I mean, you best believe that boy would be in more danger from me than the suitors if he spoke to me like that. But I guess it was different back then in mythology. Now, Telemachus doesn't actually go to town and get Murder Bro. Instead, he grabs a spear and heads in to see the suitors. And while he's walking, Athena adds some magical riz to him to make him sparkle a little bit. And when he walks in, the suitors are shocked at how strong and fly he looks. They talk to him for a bit, but then he sees Murder Bro out the window with the ship bro he'd asked to take care of Murder Bro. So he runs out to see them. Ship bro is like, all right, here's Murder Bro, like you asked, but also I've got all your treasure at home. Can you send some slaves to grab it? And Telemachus is like, actually, you just keep it for now. If these dude bros succeed in killing me, I don't want them to get my treasure. I'd rather you keep it. Okay, bye. Which, dude, now there's one more person with a vested interest in you dying. But, I guess you really trust ship bro. Anyway, Telemachus takes Murder Bro inside and has the slaves bathe and feed him, and then he takes him to meet his mom. Penelope is like, so how was your semester at sea? And Telemachus gives her a quick rundown and then is like, oh, and Menelaus caught a sea god who tells the future. And he said Dad's stuck on one of those hot goddess sex islands or something. Penelope is upset, but don't worry. Murder Bro knows just what to say. So Murder Bro cuts in and is like, don't worry, babe, I got you. I'm something of a fortune teller myself. And I know for sure Odysseus is totes coming home ASAP. In fact, he's already here on Ithaca. He probably is just planning his revenge. I know all this because I saw a bird. Penelope is like, all right then. I guess if you're right, I'll give you a reward or something, I guess. Meanwhile, Swinebro is helping Odysseus hobble into town, but along the way they meet a goat herd who is a giant douche, so we're going to call him Goat Douche. Anyway, Goat Douche sees the elderly beggar and is like, lol, time to let my antisocial personality disorder come out and play. And so he insults both Odysseus and Swinebro, and he's super rude. And then he just hauls off and fly kicks Odysseus in the hip. That is messed up. That's some real Patrick Bateman level crap. But thankfully, Odysseus is not in fact an elderly beggar, and he isn't hurt, and he manages to keep his cool, and he doesn't say anything. And Swinebro starts praying to the gods to punish Goat Douche and tell the gross dude bros to get punished as well. Goat Douche then goes on a rant, and it turns out that he's a weird simp for the dude bro suitors. He's super into them. It's very odd. Then he says he hopes that they do kill Telemachus and that he's excited for that. This guy should not be left unsupervised with those goats. Someone needs to do a welfare check on the goats ASAP. Thankfully, Goat Douche leaves at that point. He's headed to the palace too, but he's much faster, so he just zooms off, probably to go stick his nose further up the suitors' unwashed butts or whatever. Finally, Odysseus and Swinebro get to the palace, and this should be super exciting because Odysseus is finally home after 20 years and at least two sex goddess island nightmares. He is home, he's there. His sad son and hot wife are right there in front of him, but he's still all disguised. Everyone's threatening murder. The place is crawling with dude bros, so it's like low-key very anticlimactic of a homecoming. Anyway, they're about to go in, but first there's a super sad dog scene. Remember the Futurama episode Jurassic Bark? Yeah, they just do that. I'm gonna say it super quick so you don't cry. But basically, Odysseus had a dog he trained and left behind when he went to Troy. The dog got abandoned and neglected and really missed him and is now 20, which is like amazing for a dog, but he's sad and dirty. And Odysseus is trying to hide that he's like crying when he sees him, and the dog is too weak to run to him, but just like wags his tail, and it's like maybe a metaphor for like the palace in Odysseus' absence. Anyway, and then the dog, as soon as he like sees his old master one last time, he just like dies in a pile of poop. It's very sad. I hate it. It's okay. We're done now. The dog's not real. It was never real. Everyone's fine. No one's crying. All the dogs are fine. Anyway, moving on. They head inside and they go join all the suitors who are happily munching away on Odysseus' food, and Odysseus hands up his old man beggar stick, and Athena appears behind him and is like, go test them by asking them for food. We'll see which ones are good and bad, and like, just see. Although it doesn't really matter because we're going to murder them all anyway. So like, anyway, just go have fun with it. Go enjoy it. And I'm like, why even test them? Like, why are you doing this? But I guess this is what happens when you don't have like Netflix and you need to get your entertainment from somewhere. Like, even the gods get bored. Anyway, I guess it also kind of lets Odysseus assess the enemy, so it's still a good tactical decision or whatever, but still, I would have just come straight in, guns blazing. Probably why should never be in this situation. I would die very quickly. Anyway, Odysseus heads around the room and is like, help me, I'm poor. And surprisingly, all the suitors like do help him, except Lord of the Douche, Antinous. The suckiest of all the Dubro suitors. He just starts aggressively insulting Swinebro for bringing a beggar into their halls, and Swinebro tells him that he might be a lord, but his words are trash and that he's the meanest of the slaves and he just sucks, which is massively brave for Swinebro. He is such a G. Anyway, Telemachus tells Swinebro not to bother talking to King Douche because he's just trying to pick fights, and then he and Antinous argue for a bit, which is actually kind of cool considering that before he left for his semester at sea, Telemachus couldn't even talk to them without crying. So clearly those beachside barbecues really helped him out. Athena was right to send him. Anyway, Odysseus cuts in and tries telling Antinous his like fake life story as like a sort of metaphor or something, that like you can be super rich and still lose everything and wind up a beggar, so like it's also maybe a warning. But King Douche doesn't care and he's like, ugh, get this loser away from me. At which point Odysseus like calls him, and I am very serious, he calls him a handsome idiot, which is actually such a fantastic burn. A compliment insult combo is just, it's just the worst. You can't defend against it. Anyway, Antinous is pissed, and Loki, proving Odysseus' point, he just like hauls back and hurls a footstool at him, but it kind of just bounces off because obviously Odysseus is not actually an elderly man. Then Antinous says he and the rest of the suitors are just gonna like drag him out and flay him alive, which like overreaction much? But the rest of the Dubro suitors are majorly icked out by this behavior, and they're like, bro, you can't just go around throwing footstools at the elderly. That is not cool. What if he's like a god in disguise testing mortals? Which, like, lol, that's exactly what's happening. They're right. Anyway, meanwhile, Odysseus and Telemachus don't really say anything. They're just like standing there silently plotting revenge. Then we cut back to Penelope, still at dangerous levels of hotness, and she hears all this happening and she is pissed. And she's like, ugh, I hope all these dude bros get violently murdered. Then she calls Swinebro in to see her. He comes in and she's like, can you go get that old beggar man to come in here when he's done being tortured? I want to welcome him, and I'm going to like interrogate him a little bit, see if he's heard anything about Odysseus. He's traveled a lot, or at least he looks like he's traveled a lot. Swinebro is like, OMG, he totally does have info about Odysseus. He says he's on his way home right now and he's bringing some treasure. Penelope is as equally smart as she is hot and is like, trust but verify my brother. Please bring him to me so I can question him myself. But I really hope he's right. These dude bros need to die already. Right at that moment, as soon as she says that, Telemachus sneezes. And Penelope, as good at hearing as she is hot, is like, OMG, did you hear that sneeze? It's an omen. The dude bros are for sure gonna die. OMG, I can't wait. Okay, send the beggar to me, please and thank you. Which, like, girl, I get your hype for some, like, well-deserved murders, but not everything is an omen. Except maybe it kind of is. I don't know. I'm not an omen expert, but still. So Swinebro heads over to Odysseus and is like, hey, the super hot queen wants to talk to you. Come on, let's go. But Odysseus is like, tell her I'm hyped to talk to her, but she needs to wait. Tell her to stay right there and I'll be over at nightfall. Because these douchey dude bros are like real angsty right now, and we should all just need to be like chill for a bit and lay low. So tell her to wait by the fire and I'll come in when it's safe. Which, like, wildly presumptuous to tell a queen to just wait, but okay. Swinebro goes back to Penelope and tells her what Odysseus said. And Penelope is like, damn, bro may be right. These guys are just psychotic bullies. Ooh, he's got some like smarts. Okay, I'll wait by the fire. Thank you, Swinebro. So Swinebro heads back to Telemachus and is like, I gotta head back to the pigs who are a lot better behaved than these losers. Don't worry, I will protect the pigs for you. And Telemachus is like, thank you, Swinebro. TTYL. Then he leaves. And that is where the chapter ends, in my favorite place, with everyone plotting murder. It's really heartwarming, you know. You know what they say? The family that slays together stays together. Anyway, tune in next time for Hot Wife and Missing Husband, the reunion. We'll see what they say. See you there.